Last winter was bad.
We had to shut off shipments for weeks at a time.
What? I didn't even know this.
We lost our largest customer, and $1 million was defaulted on.
You're not getting $1 million. You got a lot of competition. Everyone kind of wants to be like, it's a sexy space if you can get big. The failure rate's high. If you have the money to invest and try it, people are willing to take a swing.
That's right, we did a thing. We're starting a podcast, and it's gonna be the first episode. We're gonna be talking about a whole bunch of things as to what exactly is going on in RAZE, some cultural stuff. We're actually switching topics. We're gonna be talking also too on the podcast about the new building. That's right, I'm not at RAZE HQ right now. I'm at our new 2022 building. It needs some work. Adrian's gonna put up some pictures right there. Bam, 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 bam. And every podcast, we're going to give you updates as to what exactly is being renovated, the new changes we're going to make, and the things that we have in store. But I've said too much. We're cutting into it too much. Let's go straight to the podcast in the middle of the discussion how we talk about a possibility of an influencer for the year 2020 and how we might approach celebrities and influencers for the year 2022 moving forward. Let's go.
Let's say, how come, and I know somebody's thinking this right now as they're listening to the podcast or watching the podcast, how is it that some of these, and I'm not going to mention the names, but these bigger energy drink companies are able to pull off sponsorships and make it profitable, and we necessarily didn't kind of shoot off the hip on that one? I said it was a risky question.
I don't know if it's risky. It's just like it's hard to answer.
It's just,
It's a deep answer.
It's a deep well. But the main answer is beverage is hard. Have you ever, I need you to put up like the Shark Tank, like some clips of them just like every single time saying, I don't want to be in beverage. Beverage is great when it's at scale, like huge, like
to the point that you're a publicly traded company.
Yeah.
And you got money like that.
For sure.
You can spend on marketing.
So nobody.
The failure rate is.
Yeah. To get to the point where, I mean, even where we've gotten, we're not even at exit velocity really, like on the ceiling of RAZE, but we're a lot closer than where most brands fail. But the problem is e-commerce for energy drinks is not very profitable. This is why you don't see anyone else like trying to do what we're doing on the energy drink side or even the drink side in general. Like there's very few brands trying to do e-com on drinks because it's like shipping a brick that's heavy across the country, that freezes, that gets damaged,
blows up.
That everything that could go wrong. And the main reason you don't want to do e-commerce is like everything packed into RAZE. But to get on the shelves and the coolers and everything else, you need an army of people out there banging on the doors. Basically, it's a long discussion of the only way that we make money is by selling really the drinks online or in retail, but we have a very low margin on drinks, very low margin on anything, whereas any of the companies who can do large sponsorships are pushing out their profitability to buy retail placement, to buy market share, and hoping that the next year or the next quarter it turns. So there is an effect, right, where once RAZE or any beverage is in like every retail store, you could stop marketing and you just start collecting cash because it's just sitting out there. People know it, that's going to turn. But to get every single door, you're like fighting. You should bring Lex on here sometime and talking about the sales process. But you are like, you have to imagine you're taking someone's money. Like you're taking their lunch when you're getting in the cooler. So like that's a battle to get in there. So basically the long and short of it is most of these companies aren't profitable on their sponsorships until they get the retail saturation. And it's just rolled into that math equation for them that's our marketing spend. Eventually our retail turns or data with this. If you're Red Bull, they're making money hand over fist and they already have the market share. They have the placement. So they can just keep investing in it because they just need the eyeballs to keep you. Whereas for us, like we need you to try our product. We need to convince people that like you need to replace this over your current beverage. And then that push to the store level and then that push to, the managers. So basically it's a longer process, but
and on top of that, the market is already so saturated with so many energy drinks. You got so many brands, and on top of that, you got celebrities. So many celebrities also too coming out with their own spins on energy drinks too. Because I'm pretty sure that doesn't help.
Yeah, you got a lot of competition. Everyone kind of wants to be like, it's a sexy space if you can get big, but it takes the failure rate's high, and if you have the money to invest and try it, people are willing to take a swing.
Now, this is going to be kind of a random question, but I'm going to go on a limb and say that winter would be the worst time to be an energy drink company shipping out?
In terms of damages?
I think
In
we
terms
just
of
saw
damages.
a post in the group, insider group, of someone got a
Fully
frozen
frozen.
case of like a nice block of RAZE, and I was like, oh, it's starting.
Last winter was bad.
We had to shut off shipments for weeks at a time.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't even know this.
Yeah, I mean, it was like multiple times for days. We would hold the shipments and we would track the weather on like a United States level of like where the cold fronts are and what the temperatures are. And if we saw there was going to be a warm patch of like a couple days, we would dispatch shipments. And then if we saw that it was going to get extremely cold, like in Texas when there was the freeze, we didn't ship to Texas for almost 2 weeks. And I think we were like emailing customers that are there with the VAs like, hey, look, we cannot get you the package successfully. And we took back a truck. I don't know if it was a full truck, but like I specifically remember one pallet came back and it was a block of ice that like went, I don't know where it went. Like it went through Texas or somewhere, got caught up in that vortex, and it came back. And even after all of the travel, it came back. It was still a block of frozen voodoo. Great.
I
chips them off, and that was my drink in the morning.
So last question on that, because I'm Joe Roganing this thing, and I'm very
You really
interested
are.
because
It's
I
good.
really don't know. I really I didn't know. I was genuinely asking. So is it more so? Obviously, Daniel checks the weather. Daniel checks the weather. But is it something that it's more so trial and error?
Not anymore. It was the first year.
I mean, that's how we've found out. That's how we found out.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I mean, it's the same thing with a lot of different parts of beverage that we had no ideas about: dissolved oxygen and seams, and I could go on, and Chris would probably start crying. But unfortunately, that's how business is.
Let's talk about dissolved oxygen.
So let's. I think you need a whiteboard. We also need a whiteboard. Can you kind of break down the science?
It's funny how it happens, though.
carbonated
It's like
beverage?
it's literally every time that we have some major issue come up when we think we solved it, and then there's one that comes right after it.
Now, is it? Sorry, go ahead.
In the case of dissolved oxygen, we solved it, and then we were still having issues for several months and got an email from our equipment manufacturer, which we bought a brand new line from, that they found a defect that was causing high dissolved oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
So there's another reason why, people don't want to start their own beverage manufacturing.
Yeah.
Now, is it safe to say that sometimes, obviously, a lot of the people that are watching right now are the insiders, part of the Rebellion group. Shout out to Danae that's running that. We're gonna have her on, I'm pretty sure, in the next couple of weeks. Is that kind of somewhat of the issues as to maybe shipping? Because I know people, I don't want to say complain, but people kind of bring up the fact that sometimes there are shipments that get late. Is that part of the process that maybe an average consumer doesn't think about? Is the fact that, man, we're in the middle of winter right now. If we ship out a box of RAZE, or not a box of RAZE, a case of RAZE, it's gonna end up being like a brick in most places around the country right now.
I would doubt that consumers, like, I wouldn't think about that personally. And like, I would buy a case of, something else from some other beverage company, and I would expect it to show up. And I know not to ship during the cold months. So I doubt a consumer. What I don't know if like our insiders or ambassadors or customers know is like how difficult it is to land a case of RAZE at your doorstep. Like, it sounds like super simple, right? I'm just going to buy something, you're going to ship it. But we have custom boxes that we have built and tested. They're 2 to 3 times thicker than any box. Each one is padded. You're shipping an aluminum can versus a like plastic bottle, like a Gatorade or a sparkling ice or something that's carbonated, in comparison that can like take an impact. And it weighs, 14.9 pounds. And it's only worth X amount of dollars. And then you have to pay a significant amount in freight because you're shipping something so heavy and so low value, where we, on e-commerce at least, I mean on the whole business, but specifically e-commerce, we actually bake in a damage rate. Like we account for a high failure rate in delivery of the beverage because there's just only so much we can do. The one thing that I maybe someone, a general consumer, myself included, wouldn't have known is, and I don't know if it's still going on, but back like when in peak pandemic last year, FedEx and UPS had so much demand because most people weren't going to the store like as frequently to a retail store. They were in e-commerce, internet purchases volume exploded, and so the freight networks got just like overloaded. They call it
Christmas level, like
Yeah.
holiday season level surges throughout the entire year.
Mm-hmm. So they sped the belts up to get the packages like through the networks faster.
We got to put the video up and
Yeah,
the
I
video
remember
of the case
I'm
going
gonna
down
Imagine
the belt.
that the 4-packs that weigh
Yeah.
50 plus pounds going faster than a car,
And they like doubled
and then
them.
hits like a thing that changes direction.
So we have like these missiles on these freight belts.
Yo, shout out to FedEx.
If you've ever had like a package come, not from us, just like someone else's package, and it was crushed, we're sorry.
Can you imagine the damage that we caused on other people's
So-
shipments?
So it's almost like if you like someone gets in a fight and it's like, yeah, you should see the other guy. Like if you get a damaged case of RAZE, there is a row of bodies of other boxes.
But actually, like the thickness of the boxes, FedEx and UPS, they actually have a certified test where you can send the case to them because of the damages, and they want to basically validate that like it should pass through the network. So we had to go through multiple iterations. Like some people are telling us, "Hey, ship it in a flat rate box. What are you talking about? Like that's easy. But like we had to change the thickness of each of the box, how much each flap went over. We had to how tight it was, like all the little steps in it to make sure it didn't actually break during their testing, because literally it goes down a belt at over 20 miles an hour and smashes into something else.
20 miles per hour.
It's fast. And
Even down to the way that the cases were like closed. Remember the staples versus tape and everything.
Staples was one of my worst ideas.
Chris kind of lost it on one of our box vendors or whatever because we had the original four case box. I
that
don't
Will?
know if- yeah.
Oh
I don't know if that was
God.
really that much his fault, because it literally did coincide when we changed from taping all the boxes to going to staples.
No, we still had tape problems. We still had significant tape
So
problems.
messed up, bro. Will's such a nice guy too.
I like Will. He's good.
In theory, though,
He's like
stapling
now.
over tape seemed like a good idea. Like just speed, boom, 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 it's in. But yeah, tape.
Hold on. So it turns out we didn't know that there's different adjustments for the staples. We're not going to be able to turn that off. You're going to have to cut that. I don't know what you can do with that sound, but that is the sound of our brand new high shear pump that we just got that will take protein and instantly turn it into liquid. So it's pretty cool.
There seems to be a bandwagon effect. As soon as somebody likes something, it's just like everybody just hops on the wave, or they just hop on whatever Chris is on at the moment. Hashtag Liquid IV.
Yeah, that's exactly why we started the Insider program, because the original flavors of RAZE, I think there's some OG flavors that are pretty amazing. Phantom Freeze, you're my rest in peace, RIP.
You're the one that cut it, bro.
fine.
I don't think I'm the one who cut
You
it.
are the one that cut it.
I don't think he.
Whoa.
It might have been. Yeah.
Lewis?
I would save that. I would
he
save
would-
Phantom
yeah.
Freeze at all costs. You could tell me it was like selling 10% of every other flavor, and I would still think it's worth saving.
So I think what's interesting when you like read some of the like threads in the insiders when they get a little upset with us is, and maybe I'm like dancing the line here, is like I feel like some insiders, and I know this is like the minority of them, feel like it's this big profit center for us. And like we designed and developed the insider program to make money. It was literally designed. It was the anti-bandwagoner program. Like we would come out with Lou would come out with a flavor with anything other than cotton candy, even though I would beg for cotton candy.
Or banana.
He's actually the reason why. And we would taste it. And as you saw today with Katie, what flavor were you testing? We could probably say that on the podcast.
Coconut water hydration.
Was that what it was?
I think it was.
So what happened?
Oh,
what
just
happened?
like pure coconut water?
So they came.
Nice.
It's just one of those, I think, once it got to Lex and Lex just didn't like it, and then all the sales reps.
Sorry, Lex.
All the sales reps just started to fall in line with Lex.
One or two people say something, and it can be anybody. It doesn't have to be like the
It's definitely
ranking.
Chris. It's definitely the ranking.
No, it doesn't. The bandwagoning would go against me oftentimes, though. Wouldn't it?
Sometimes.
Am I like?
I don't know. I think it goes with like
It doesn't, I'm not
the groups of people here. Like we're not like in cliques, but there's kind of cliques. Like all the sales guys will kind of like stick together, and then like marketing will stick together, and so it'll just kind of
we
follow
don't.
that.
Jared's like, I do not
I mean,
bandwagon.
you guys, for the most part, aside from Perry, like Perry will be like the one that'll stick out. It's like, I don't like this.
All right. So maybe I don't notice it, but I don't feel like it's like my decision per se, because I look at it like by names and by like version 1, 2, 3, 4, or cranberry, apple juice, I don't know, voodoo, and whatever flavor it is, and then we would say, all right, well, we want to launch this flavor, and then one person would detect something in that flavor and like a chemical taste or something, and then like that's all anyone would taste.
That's true.
Yeah, it creates an absolute nightmare from like a taste test perspective, though, and that's like also kind of the way that you have to modify the taste test in order to avoid people from doing that type.
We
of
don't
thing.
really do taste tests, like group taste tests at least.
This is why we have the insiders. So bringing that full circle.
Lou and Katie like me, so like they'll pass by the marketing office and give me a scoop at least. Of stuff.
The one thing that we did have to curb though is like some people have to taste the stuff before they go to the insiders. We can't send them first cut. Just because we're trying to get a better product. I don't know which camera is my camera, but
just pick a camera,
is
man.
it that one?
Oh, I haven't looked at the camera one time, except for just now. But yeah, because there's like 20 people in the office, not even on a good day, I guess, up here.
Yeah.
But
was that on a
who's
Monday,
sick.
Wednesday, and Friday?
yeah.
Those are his office days. Continue.
So I can actually get some work done. But really, like, even outside of the bandwagoning, there's certain flavor profiles that it seemed like people in the office, just like maybe it's just us in Florida, or maybe it's just because of the water we drink. I don't know, but we were kind of coalescing on the same flavors and like a lot of the same opinions. So we really needed a more diverse range of taste testers, honestly. But like, how do we actually, if you think about that at scale, when Lou's creating flavors, literally him and Katie every single day are coming out with new flavors of some product of ours. But like, how can we actually do that, not to just a local Florida area? So that's really where the insiders was like, all right, we need to figure out a program where as a business and self-funded, we need to make some little profit, but we also want to give them like really cool access. We want like a subscription program that really, benefits us. We get to make products that they love and other people will love, and they got all the benefit as well, and the products, the early access, I'm going too far in this insider pitch right now.
No, I mean, but I think it is
Super
it's
pitch.
probably important to talk about like how much work we put into the insider kits. Like just going back to the value that like we'll never get credit for as a business. That is that the costs that go into these packages to the point where they're virtually break even, if not a loss on some months like December where we got charged an extra $5 a package.
What?
Shout out FedEx. But
Shout out.
but we have a dedicated team member, Katie, just basically exclusively for insiders. And then I would say a quarter of Lewis's time, a bunch of our time, a bunch of your time. Like there's a lot of time that goes into this. We're then testing multiple flavors before they get selected for the insider kits. Then we're making like micro batches for these
Ordering
cans
specifically for them.
Actually, I just found out about this last week. I was a little upset. How many? So we have to order 100 kilos as a flavor minimum of powder.
100 pounds.
Oh, it's 100 pounds. 100 pounds. Oh, easy, Jared. It's not like narco cocaine cowboy.
Right in the kilo.
Yeah, the kilo. But the insider kits are only using how much?
3 to 9 kilos, so 6 to 20 pounds of that 100 pounds.
Waste, just like trash, which we then try and like reuse. But it just kind of it gives you an idea of like how much goes into creating these and what it takes, because we're creating things from nothing. So we have to custom order and develop every ingredient just to test for the group, which is great because that's what we need. That's why we developed it. It was to get the like feedback from thousands and thousands of people, for them to ultimately potentially vote it down and it to never get launched. So it's I would say a pretty big cost, and also a pretty big, huge value for the business, which is like why we covet the insider group and appreciate, every bit of feedback that we get, even the frustration on months, so we can pivot and fix them. But yeah, I don't know. It's just it's a lot that goes into it.
And I think I really noticed that when it came to, so if you know me, like if it has to be somewhat decently cold outside for me to actually wear a hoodie was when Robin was pitching a hoodie in the middle of, was it summer?
In July, we launched
I ain't
our
gonna
first
lie.
hoodie.
We kind of roasted on
seller.
Robin a little bit because he kept like forcing the issue with like these hoodies, and it was March, April, May. I don't remember. You should know this, bro.
At least in Florida, it was hot.
I think it was June, honestly. I think it was like
I think it was
legitimately
close,
summer.
Like, it
I
was like
think-
90 degrees outside.
Yeah.
other time besides this week. Basically.
Yeah, so it was super hot outside, and I'm just like, yo, I think I even posted a picture with me with the hoodie because I was taking, what was it? We were taking
Alright,
photos.
Hendrickson was taking pictures of us outside.
Yeah, by the wall for some whatever. So I think I even posted it. I was like wearing a hoodie in the middle of the summer or something like that. But then, for some godforsaken reason, which I guess we need to explore more, and I need to travel more because, it was our highest selling apparel item.
It was. Oh,
Correct?
that would have been March. Yeah, South Beach.
Yeah, that's right.
First hoodie, South Beach, March. Yeah, yeah. It was. Hoodies have always sold no matter what. Like they sell out every time. They just.
15. That's a lot of hoodies.
I love a good hoodie.
Yeah, me too. But I need it to be like, but me, I'm just thinking about me, right? Because me, I get hot very easily. So if it's decent, if it's 60 degrees outside, I don't wear a hoodie. It has to be 50 or less in order for me to rock a hoodie.
I don't think I have a single hoodie hanging up in my closet.
But you're more of a jacket guy though, right? You're a
Big-
dad. It's
big
okay.
boss man CEO. You know, he's just too
Too
good
good
for.
for that.
No, hoodies like I get hot in hoodies. Like I don't
Well,
know.
maybe
You
because
sit in your office
maybe
with a heater on.
maybe because the
Volatile.
CEO of the company legitimately has a heater in his office in the middle of summer, like a maniac.
Okay.
Yeah, you're
well,
a menace to society.
it's a warmer.
I appreciate the
Okay.
heater.
I'd
Yeah.
call that a heater.
You
How many times I go where I'll take literally half a step into his office and just be like, no, not today.
Yo, just imagine having like, it's cool to work with the CEO of the company. Like, I know that's a dream for a lot of people, but
It shouldn't
sometimes,
be.
sometimes it's just like, I mean in the sense of like, man, I would like to have my input on whatever.
Yeah, my voice heard.
Yeah, my voice
We have
heard.
insiders for
But like, just imagine the CEO of the company calls you in a meeting, and you don't know what the hell is gonna be about, and this man over here has the heater on in the middle of summer on
You
top
literally
of like,
start sweating when you walk into his office.
yeah, you start
because of
sweating.
the
So,
heat.
so
that.
I, think,
I would have my office as a sauna though if I could like.
So I think me and Chris are cool enough where I can just like, he
Mm.
calls me in the office for an important meeting. I was like, all right, cool. I'm down to have this meeting. Just turn this off, please, for the love of God. And
Okay,
he always
so
cracks some like joke.
I have a sauna heater that I can bring. We have the power in
What
this
is wrong with you guys?
office.
Well,
I'm
it's for your
saying we
own
should
health.
put his money where his mouth is and make him do a day with the sauna heater in his office.
I wonder what the temperature is that like is sustainable. It probably could be like 105, right?
I don't know. Can you imagine being like outside in the like Arizona heat, you know, in the middle of summer
Yeah.
for all day?
Because I'm looking at the weather for this weekend, and it's gonna be glorious, right? I love the cold. I think it's a high of 49 on Saturday.
Bro,
and
it's
a
gonna be
low-
like 30 degrees on Thursday.
It's gonna be a low of like 30 on Saturday. 49 and 30. Like for me, that's amazing. I love to wear hoodies. I love to wear jackets.
Terrible.
And this man is just a menace to society in the middle of summer wearing Do you wear jackets in the middle of summer? Not hoodies, obviously.
Why is this? Why do I
It's really
feel?
turned, Tony.
Yeah, it's hot in here.
It is.
So speaking of hoodies, making apparel is really easy. You should ask Chris about starting an apparel line.
Bro, you can't
Especially
do this.
when you
to me.
do it overseas.
Yeah, it's just not fair.
Do we want?
all right?
Hold on.
The,
hold
the
on.
deck
Do we want them
was
to know?
stacked against me.
This is how it is working here. We start on a wave,
Yeah,
and then the wave dies down, and then we start on a wave again, and Chris gets very, very excited. He goes, "Why haven't we started this?" And in my head, I'm just thinking about the multiple times that we started waves and then cut them off.
there is a handful of people here that we can hand things off to, and when it comes to apparel, there is only a few people that I could hand that off to. And they were busy.
You know, there's a whole design bank full of T-shirts and sweaters. And
So basically, I gave up on it.
why did you give up? That was your baby.
So there's this thing that happened called COVID. And it's causing something called inflation. and everything is harder now.
So actually, what one of the main things that happened, we set up our international import rates, and got like these crazy prices to bring boxes in overseas, and we kind of figured out the import taxes. I think Lewis and I kind of figured that out towards the tail end because it was costing a little bit more than we thought on the taxes. Then we had all the grids or designs and fits and forms tested, even though the supplier was kind of not sending us the same material every single time. I think
the samples you get are a little different than the actual order, and then there's some variants in the actual order, and then you fix the actual order, and the next order, all of a sudden, something changes.
So I think we got kind of most of that cleaned up. And then we placed orders for, I don't know, it was like 15,000 T-shirts, a couple thousand short, like a whole bunch of stuff, which is, I don't 5, 6, 7,000 pounds worth of product in boxes. A week before it's ready, FedEx and UPS, whatever, there's a global shortage of flights, right? Like everybody's flying over to Asia and Pakistan, all these different countries, India. Well, now travel is kind of like extinct. So there's not as many flights going to these countries, and there's not as many flights coming back from these countries. What you don't realize is like that's the bulk of the import and export network of like transit movement. So because those flights stopped flying,
it's literally a commercial, like retailer, or, normal people travel, and then just the bottom of the plane, it's less than a tenth of that plane is your normal luggage for passengers, and then the rest is actually cargo. So it's a big business for normal airlines, is just that actual package shipment, which never knew about until we did the apparel.
No. And so because those flights stopped happening, the freight companies had to put a limit on how many pounds you could import from overseas. So here we had thousands and tens of thousands of pieces of apparel overseas, all like custom design, whatever. And we go to bring it in, and we had been bringing it in over the years, but these were some of our like largest orders that we placed to kind of like go after the apparel business. And then FedEx came out and said, was it 100 pounds?
They changed it, and it changed all the time too. It would go from one day it was 100 kilos, the next day it's 200 kilos, and then you arrange the shipment for that 200 kilos. And then the next day, they changed it back to 100 kilos, and you guys start from scratch again.
And it was different per area, right? So, like,
China
India
was
was
different
than
from
Pakistan.
Pakistan was different from India. It's a complete nightmare.
So after having like 500-600 boxes stranded overseas that were paid for sit there for several months, we kind of just put the pause button on apparel. We'll come back to it.
Now, one thing I wanted to get to as we kind of a little past midway point of the podcast, a question.
End of it, I think.
Yeah, a question for I do want to get in the what's hot section because I want to talk about some stuff that happened over the weekend. For Chris and Lewis, obviously, and Robin too. But since you're a purchasing CEO company, let's start with Chris. Which year was tougher? Because we had an interesting conversation in the car, right? Mm-hmm. When we went to go visit a new building. Shout out to the new building that caused us to go broke. Okay, cool. So which year was harder? Was it 2020 or was it 2021? As a business owner. Don't change up the answer on me now, Matt.
I don't remember what the answer was, but I'm going to say 2021.
And why is that?
I think 2021 was difficult. Well, a lot of different reasons. Now that I'm like rehashing it. One, we lost our largest customer right into the beginning of the year. So we were flying from 2020 into 2021. We had massive growth. Most everything was kind of firing on all cylinders. Like you're always going to have your problems, but there was a lot of things going the right way for us, like more than normal, I would say. And then in like March, we kind of found out that so like a business is built off of accounts receivable, and that's kind of like a credit card. You're offering credit to companies, and companies offer you credit, and everyone kind of trades on credit. So we had basically $1.7 million in owed credit to us, and $1 million was defaulted on. So we rolled into March. We had this whole thing planned out. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how much of that you knew.
That's like literally like
Adrian, put that meme right now. That
you're
says,
not getting
"Bruh."
$1 million.
So like we were all, I know Robin, Lex, and Lewis, we were all pretty stoked because we had obviously a lot of plans for the $1 million that we were set to receive February, March, April, May. And then in March, we found out that, that wasn't going to happen, that the company was going to default on the money, and because they were going through hard times due to COVID, and we had to just kind of take that L. So that shut us down. Like I feel like, at least me personally, I kind of run on emotional currency. I don't know how much. I think you're kind of like in the middle there. I don't know how much you do. Lewis, you're pretty stable. Me, I'm very emotional, right? Like, so I run off like, how is the business running? How are we performing? Like, if we're rolling and we're running good and everything's flowing right, like I'm in peak mode. If we're having down days, down months, I'm just kind of like not at my peak performance. So I know it took me down. I know it took Lex down for, let's say, at least a month. I think it was worse than that, but we kind of brainwashed ourselves out of it. And then we had to kind of curate the cash to, kind of overcome that. And that was really just a debt function. We took on a lot more debt as a business, opened up a credit line and offset the $1 million, and lent against it. And then ultimately, like, we're paying it back now through the end of last year and this year, and getting out of that. But then COVID kind of kept surging, I would say, on
Omicron.
Omicron. I feel like Omicron wasn't that bad, though.
Yeah, but I feel more than like COVID kept happening, seemed like all the prices, like all of the effects, either from the beginning, kept compacting. No, I'm saying the wrong word. They kept piling up, really, from the beginning. Like, we saw some impacts on pricing early on, like people were, early on stimulus and things like that, like talking about inflation, but like at least from my point of view, and Lou can really talk about pricing on every single ingredient and the creatine shortages and the whey shortages and every single thing, but it just kept adding up. Like there wasn't relief on protein prices. There wasn't relief on shipping prices. There wasn't any availability of certain ingredients anymore. And like always, okay, it's going to come back. It's going to come back. And never quite came back.
And so there was no availability. The price was more expensive every single month, right? Like, it's still going up, right?
Oh, yeah.
So that was like every single month we'd buy, let's say, creatine for $5, and it was $7, $10, $15, $20, $25. What is it right now?
$28.50.
$28.50. And we were paying
$4.25.
not even 18 months ago, 12 months ago. I mean, it's very difficult to navigate that. But then the whole credit facility that I was talking about, people, lend us money, we lend them money, dried up because none of the suppliers had supply. So when they got supply, it was instantly sold out. Like, just because there's a finite amount of resource, like water in the desert. So then our suppliers that we have like multi-year relationships with and tons of credit with said, you have to prepay, and we're not giving you credit on anything. But then we still had to service the debt on, I'm probably going too deep here. We had to service the debt on those supplier balances while prepaying for the goods, or the suppliers that we had the debt with, that we were, used to doing trade with, didn't have anything. So we had to continue to pay off that product while not extending credit with them, and then prepay in advance upfront before the materials were advanced or available.
For materials with inflated prices.
That costed, for materials that costed 4 times more than they costed us even 6 months prior. So that, I think, made last year the hardest year of the business. And we're still going through that right now as well. Like, I think now we've just, like, I don't know, we're
keep going.
What's
somehow.
like? There's like a definition for this. Yeah.
I don't know. It's the definition of insanity, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like, oh, okay, yeah, sure.
Now, was 2021 in comparison, and all the years that you've been in business doing NutriKey, doing Rap, doing RAZE, was 2021 the hardest of all the years? Ooh,
Yeah, I think so.
that's crazy.
Yeah, I think so.
It's not even just us though. Like I've talked to multiple vendors that have been in this industry for 20 plus years, and they said they all give the same answer though. Never seen anything like this that's happened. Nothing close.
Yeah,
How do you think 2022 is gonna fare?
I think we're close. I think
Close,
we.
what are we close to here?
I think we're close. I think we might. We say this every year. I will say. Now we do grow every year. We get bigger. We hire more people. I think we went from 50 something employees to 74. We peaked at employees. I think we're back down to like 71 right now. But that always kind of floats. But we have some major retailers that we're excited to talk about here in a few months with the group that have the potential to do as much sales in RAZE as all of RAZE last year. If
we do it right.
Yeah.
If we do it right.
Yeah.
Even the Raise B.
I don't think I wasn't supposed to talk about this.
The Raise B.
Damn podcast.
Damn, podcast gets it all. But really, I mean, I'm not sure if this will actually be in the podcast for people to listen to, the initial going back and forth. But that's really, like, this year, I think, is where we start to potentially hit some exit velocity with RAZE and kind of how the business operates. Because really what we're talking about in the pricing pressures and COVID inflation, for us as a business, it means that we just can't quite invest as much in everything we do because it's going into materials or other things. So we can't quite grow as much on the typical avenues that we're doing. We make less money on e-commerce. We make even less money on Amazon than we used to. So really this year with some big retail placements that we're, testing out in, we'll see how it goes. We think we're going to do pretty well in, but that helps just compound and fuel the rest of the business. Like that is a all profit ish that is going to come and really fuel the business to keep progressing. Cause that's all, it's just one step at a time on that. So I think if we do it right, this is an interesting year. If we can hold on, it's like all the wheels are falling off on the car.
Holding on for dear life.
Been doing that for the last like 5 years.
We're going to finish off today with those AMA questions. Adrian, hit us with those questions, and then I will repeat them because I'm pretty sure the people can't hear you.
This question is from Cameron Shank.
This is from Cameron Shank?
Yeah.
Okay.
What made you want to start Rep Sports?
What made Chris want to start Rep Sports is the question.
Boy, we're going deep there, Lou.
Profit margins.
It is the sad truth.
I mean, at the time, the large retailer that we were talking about before, though, the majority of their business was more Rep Sports style products than, say, NutriKey.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry, was it 2017?
I think so.
16 or 17. At the time, we had like 150 NutriKey products that were like all creatine, glutamine, commodity-based products. Super low margin, but they all moved very steadily. Our partner at the time had a lot of demand for high performance, high energy, like body enhancing sports nutrition products. And so we met with them. We built the Rep Sports line kind of around that need and demand, but then also in addition to, while going through that process, we kind of learned and realized how much more fun. Not to say that NutriKey is not fun, because
it's not fun.
It's fun, but it's not that fun. How much more fun it is to have a highly caffeinated, high energy, like intense brand. And so we kind of just went all in on the Rep Sports brand, which turned into, or is turning into RAZE Energy. But
you just dropped a diamond there.
What?
You kind of just dropped a diamond there.
RAZE is kind of what everyone knows. It's the RAZE podcast.
Thought that was a little important.
You want to officially say it?
Go ahead.
No, I'm not doing it.
Is not Rep Energy. Wow.
Whoa.
Germany labels for
Europe.
Yeah, for Europe. Is Rep Sports turning into RAZE Energy? And we just completely bypassed that question right after.
You did.
I didn't do anything.
There will be a day this year.
Maybe.
when our custom CRM solution I guess that's an inside joke. Probably should explain it.
I didn't catch that one.
The custom website that we're building
Yeah.
since last year.
We've been
Since the
building
year
that
before
for the
last?
past 3 years,
Yeah.
bro.
So when that's done and we flick that switch, we will become. There will be no more Rep Sports. It will be Raze Energy.
It'll be gone.
It will be
It'll-
absorbed.
Point to raise.
Yeah.
But what about Broken Arrow?
It will be Raze Broken Arrow.
It would be Raze Arrow.
Razero.
For Arrow.
RZB1.
Kind of going back, if we're gonna chop this up into clips, going back onto the reason why you started Rep Sports, I'm gonna go a little more deeper. I know he didn't ask that, but go a little more deeper. If you can give me a 2-sentence kind of short paragraph as to why it is you started just supplements in general. I know you kind of talked to me about, and I know you said it might not be the popular amongst the people. I think it will. It's just because like me and Lou are into sports. We like, working out and stuff like that. I mean, you kind of explained it as like, this is your sport.
I mean, that was the business side of it, which ultimately, in college, needing a job, needing something to do, really enjoyed sports nutrition, really enjoyed working out and lifting.
Back when you used to.
Back when I used to train.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks very much. When I was a cross-country runner. Wanted to create a job for myself and saw the need for sports nutrition products, health products for people. It was an emerging industry and category, and I was never that much of a athlete or sports enthusiast, and business was kind of my sport, my game. Before that, I was, selling like trucks. I used to paint and fix up old Broncos between, I think it's 66 and 77.
Look at this guy.
Rehab. Yeah, I don't know if you knew that.
I think a Bronco that sat out there for a hot minute.
Here?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
One that Jeremy like tried to fix.
Yeah, it didn't work out. Yeah. We always have these guys in the back that say they work on cars. They don't really work on cars. But I mean, in short, that's ultimately why I started. I wish I had like the cool, story that some of these people claim are their stories is why they started it. I guess I'm a little more real in the fact that I was creating a job for myself, and it turned into be something much bigger than I think I ever thought that it was going to turn into. And it continues to do that every year. And it also continues to be increasingly more difficult, given the climate, and increasingly more challenging, but also that much more interesting and fun and engaging, which I think is why, I show up every day, and a lot of people here show up every day, because it's like this constant new challenge where we are just at war with these challenges and trying to overcome them and build and grow, while we're feeling all of this pressure from either brands that have infinite marketing budgets, a great influencer strategy or a great celebrity strategy, competitive products with us, and they have a different approach, whereas we have, our method of approach between, sales, retail, and advertising, and, insiders and ambassadors within our groups, and being able to be on the field competing with them is, I would say, a blast. Like that's my sport.
You kind of like being the underdog, per se.
I do.
Of sorts.
I don't. Yeah.
And puts a chip on your shoulder for sure.
Definitely.
You guys kind of, I don't know if everybody saw that reaction as soon as I said that. It's like he had that little Tom Brady grin in there. Not a Aaron Rodgers grin, because it's not like the same. But yeah. Adrian, you got one more question for us before we wrap up for today? Talk to us, man, Taiteo.
This question, I guess, might be a little more for Lou.
Bud?
But it was from Benjamin Clark. And then, if you want to repeat that.
This question is from Benjamin Clark.
Would love to understand the process of creating a flavor of RAZE Energy and other products. That's definitely a good topic, in my opinion.
That is a good one. I mean,
Let me ask the question. This guy, bro. What a stupid face. So basically, this gentleman right here wants to know the process as to creating flavors, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, great recap.
Yeah. Flavors and products.
Yeah, so there's not a set process. It can come about multiple different ways. I mean, everything from obviously like any individual person that works here could come up with a certain flavor idea and then come to the group with it and be like, oh yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Let's go with that. It could come from something as simple as one of us walking through a store and seeing a candy or a different company's drink or something like that. It can modify from one flavor idea that we had where we tried something and it doesn't work, and then it can just somehow shift itself over to a different flavor idea. There's not like a set, like, we're going to launch this specific flavor, we're going to do it for this specific reason. It can just, it could happen a dozen different ways.
So I think there's one way we haven't got it, new flavor profile or suggestion yet, and that's from TikTok. I think we should do a TikTok and have someone a giveaway, so they enter or say wow, I'm really butchering this, so we're gonna have to redo it, but they suggest the flavor in the comments, and whatever gets the most likes, we make. But the video maybe.
Also be interesting to have someone create, whoever comes up with the most creative TikTok, and to get us our attention on a specific flavor that they want us to do. We could try that.
We can even have their face on it. Like
exactly. And then they would be on the can and maybe get a year's supply of that flavor they created.
Just don't. Whoever wins, just don't send me a Facebook.
But it might be like peanut butter and jelly,
cotton candy or banana.
Peanut butter.
I want a
cotton
Don't
candy.
do peanut butter. We've tried peanut butter.
That cotton candy flavor was bomb.
All I'm saying is the point is if it gets the most likes, or if it's the video that reaches the most, views, we gotta let the people decide.
You don't know the power.
We gotta let the people decide.
Well, it is what it is.
You guys can't.
If they want peanut butter and jelly.
You guys, I have Chris and Robin on the wave right here for TikTok and allowing people to go ahead and vote exactly through likes, but I don't think that's the best. I'm kind of in Adrian's camp. I think you're playing a dangerous field. Somebody's gonna make a troll flavor and it's gonna catch on.
And Lou will.
But isn't that the point,
buddy?
What is a troll? What is a troll flavor?
Okay, do you know what a troll is?
Yeah, they're walking daily.
Have you seen Nathan For You?
I love Nathan For You.
He makes to get people talking about his flavor, he makes a poo flavored yogurt or a frozen yogurt to get people to come in and taste it. So they had someone make a flavor for it, and they sold it in there for like a day. So that might be something that.
And Nathan For You, every single one of his businesses is successful. So he apparently already cracked the code that we can crack for our next level of business success.
So you heard it first here. Go ahead.
Comment below.
Do your own TikTok, and the TikTok that gets, we're going to vote on this by deliberation, by likes and or reach. You will get a chance to have your flavor voted in and your face on there as well as your name. I think that's a fair.
I didn't know that this was happening. So is this becoming like a thing?
If
like
this is becoming, that's why I am saying reach. Reaching the most.
I mean, we could
people.
probably come out and say like if they do if a poo flavor is the most liked, like we're just no, it's not happening.
Yeah.
So if you do maybe
do like a play on poo,
you'd be like poo candy.
Yeah, it's like it's
poo caca.
Like it's Tootsie Roll,
Adrian's face right now. And ironically, I think to end off, I think we need to acknowledge the fact that Adrian needs a mic for next time. Because Adrian, as much as he pretends like he doesn't like to be on camera, just like everybody here, for some godforsaken reason, pretends like they don't like to be on camera and they just point to me as the camera guy. Adrian is just alongside of everybody else that likes to talk and likes to be on camera, likes to give his input.
I don't mind talking. It's a lot different when there's someone else pointing a camera at you, though. I don't mind that. When I'm doing it myself, I can't.
I mean, you certainly couldn't have a Red Bull next to you if we had a camera on you. Could you, Adrian? Yeah.
Just so you know.
Well, we talked about whole scope of things we have. Are we gonna keep saying her name?
It's gonna get looped out.
I kind of feel like
okay. So we have blank.
A nice test podcast.
This is gonna be a great TikTok, by the way. Just to point that out.
That cannot be a TikTok.
Why can't it
We're
be
not
a TikTok?
doing that.
You know what?
Which one?
This is what I'm talking about. You see? First-hand experience right here. I want to go ahead and take risks, but I don't want to take risk. There you go.
This is different because
It's not. Don't join. Come on,
like
Matt.
a
Relax.
potential lawsuit.
No, it's not necessarily that. I would just say like that's a group that we may access at some point in time. So I don't want us to go out there and say like, oh, this is what we did, because it's. I mean, yes, that's kind of what happened, but at the same point, that's not.
You gave her a shout out at the
I
end.
mean, it kind of is what happened, I guess. So.
We said that we wanted her back.
Maybe come back.
You could blame it all on. Okay, we covered that. What else did we cover, buddy? FedEx. I'm on vegan brain right now. 2020, 2021, the challenges between COVID, the challenges between inflation. Not only that, but we got into kind of the whole segment about shipping and how, shipping cases of RAZE is not necessarily the easiest, and getting in the industry is not the easiest. So I'm very interested to see what exactly we're going to be talking about next week and the week right after that. I really want to get Lex on here, because Lex, just like Chris, you get him on a tangent, he can keep going on there. So it's going to be very interesting trying to cut him off, but I'm excited for it. I'll see you guys, and we'll all see you guys on the next podcast. Tune in, the RAZE Pod, a.k.a. the RAZE Podcast, a.k.a. RAZE
IV.
IV. Do you love... Hold on. Pan the camera back to me.
Oh, yeah, that's true. We could vote.
Okay,
we
cool.
could vote.
So we kind of have... Did you like any of the other names? You didn't respond yesterday, so I'm assuming that you didn't like any of the other
I didn't
names?
like any of those options. No.
Okay, cool. So some of the options...
Go ahead and pick your top 3. And one of them has to be mine.
Okay.
And don't say which one mine is. Bandwagoners, don't do it.
So, we have RAZE IV, the drip. So we got RAZE IV. We got the is it called semicolon? The dots. The drip. We have
It's not semi, by the way. Just be the colon.
It just be the colon. There you go. Hey, poet, and I can't even get it right. We have the RAZE Energy Podcast, which I think is my favorite one. We have
very creative.
Hey, that's who we are.
I'm just saying. I mean, like that.
not
How long
like-
did that take you?
Did you not like the name that you created with RAZE Energy? We are the RAZE Energy Podcast.
You don't flip that on me.
We're not a doctor. We're not a doctor's office.
Yeah, like don't do that.
We're not a doctor's
what is
office,
this?
Chris.
Yeah. Okay.
There's also too, if we want to keep on the same. I do like the fact that one of the Chris's main points for this podcast was the fact that a consistent drip of information as to what's going on in the company and our thoughts on some of the stuff that's going on in the world right now. A constant drip. So one of the ideas which Chris hated was, what's the drip? What's the drip? So there's that one. So let us know what your favorite idea of those. What?
You didn't even note like the one. Yeah.
I said 3.
Well,
Said the drip and
the RAZE Energy Podcast, RAZE IV, the drip.
but then isn't it like isn't the one like we're leading right now the RAZE Pod?
Yeah. Well, RAZE Podcast, RAZE Pod, I take it all the same, honestly. For me,
Who's
it's
this
the
guy?
same.
What? Okay.
Adrian's shaking his head at me.
Yeah. Thanks, Adrian.
So let us know in the comment section below. You guys have the power not only on TikTok to determine some of the next not some of the next flavors. One of the next flavors that we have coming out. And you also have the power to go ahead and decide what the name of this podcast is actually going to be. And if you have any clever ideas, go ahead and let us know in the comment section below. I'm just going to give you a heads up that RAZEcast is not it for somebody here.
I think it should be unorganized thoughts with RAZE Energy.
I like that. That's my life.
Like between two ferns. And with that right there.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see you next week. Bye.
First one done.